Scott Kavanagh, who is the managing director of Nissan United, who is going to be interviewed by Steve McClellan, who is the editor of MediaPost's Agency Daily. And if you haven't already figured it out, because I've talked about it like 3 times so far today, Scott and his agency are our Agency of the Year this year. So we're going to talk about what got them there and why they were chosen. Take it away, you guys.
Thanks, Tanya. Well, first, I want to just say congratulations to you as well as the entire Nissan United team. Great effort and well done.
Hold up your mic.
Test. Is that, we're good? Should I repeat what I? Yeah? Okay, so anyway, congratulations on the award. Well done. We think you really did an outstanding job this year, and to you and your entire Nissan United team. So let's give Scott a little hand here for his job well done. Thanks, guys, and the team. Thanks, guys.
No, hi everyone. That's a little loud. No, thanks, Steve. And I'll get into the thank you here in a second. But before I do that, I just wanted to acknowledge the events of yesterday in Brooklyn and the shootings, and just everyone's, I know we talked about it, our collective thoughts are with the families and the victims, and I know a lot of my team came in from Brooklyn today, and a lot of you folks came in from Brooklyn today, so I just wanted to thank you for the support, and just felt like it needed to be acknowledged before we get into some of the other things. So I'll take a right turn, Clyde, off of that. And yeah, thanks for Agency of the Year. It's a tremendous pride point for all of us. The team back there, can you guys stand up, please? Stand up, stand up. Yeah, no, we take a lot of solace in it. We are so proud of it. It's great validation, and you know, both Nissan and Nissan United are incredibly proud about it. And yeah, we're 3 years into our infancy, Nissan United. You know, just 3 years. And I think the founding fathers of NU had this vision of what it could be, and they handed us this, you know, kind of roadmap, but it was in.
Well, hold on 1 second before we.
No, you're gonna show a spot?
We need to show us.
All right, you show the spot.
So, Jeff, consider yourself cued for the first Nissan spot.
In the future, we'll travel to incredible places with the help of magical technology. But what about today? I want my magical future now. I have places to go. Rocks to climb. Sights to see. And flights to catch. I can't wait for what tomorrow will bring. But in the meantime, let's enjoy the ride.
Okay, so that's just one example of a lot of great work that's come out from the agency, and I guess maybe to kick it off, as you mentioned, you're going into your 3rd year on this. Sort of talk about how it all came together and evolved.
Yeah, sure. I'll kind of pick up where I was. You know, 3 years into this, just 3 years. We launched April 1st of 2019, and you know, there was this vision of what it could be. You know, Allison Witherspoon, who was here earlier, probably a lot of you folks saw her speak. John Castle, Rob Schwartz, they had this vision, but they really handed it to us to kind of execute. And I think one of the inspiring things about it was that it was really incomplete. And you know, there's the proverbial, you're rolling down the tracks and laying down the tracks, and that was what was really fun and inspiring for a lot of us. I called it the world's biggest startup. And the concept behind it was we were bringing 7 or 8 agencies together, amazing partners. You know, we have Designery out in the West Coast. We have OMD right here in the city, Fluent out of Chicago, Critical Mass, great partners, GMR, great partners. I think I've covered everyone. Did I miss anyone? I think I covered everyone. And we came together in this really selfless way on behalf of Nissan. And the idea was to put data in the center, mix everyone up at the table, data sitting next to creative, sitting next to media, and getting super comfortable with being uncomfortable. And the thought was data would unleash creativity. And some of our most creative teams are teams that you wouldn't normally think of as creative. Our media team, massively creative. Our data team, massively creative. And we sat together, and it was really awkward at first. I'll tell the story, and you guys will roll your eyes because I tell the story a lot, but I think it's a really good example of, I had this creative person sitting next to this data person like week one. And he's like, I need to go sit with my kind. I need to go sit with other creative people to be inspired. And I don't say that in a bad or a good way. I'm just saying that's what he said to me, 2 weeks in. He's sitting next to this person with, several screens and a bunch of numbers on the screen. His head's blowing up. And I said, give it 2 weeks. He came back to me in 2 weeks. And he said, this data person talked about a problem. I overheard it. And talked about a problem, a challenge in a way that I never would have thought of in a million years. And it inspired me to put together an idea that we ended up pitching to the client. And I don't know if it's stuck or sold or whatever. That's not the point. But the point is that, data can unleash creativity. And we've kind of taken off from there. There's a lot of process that we've worked on, a lot of continuous improvement. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. But that's the fun part about it. We architect it together, and here we are 3 years later, Agency of the Year. So we're super proud about that.
As well you should be. And talk just a little more about how Nissan came together in the U.S. You talk about this idea of embracing the challenger spirit. Elaborate, if you would.
Yeah, I'd actually like to talk about this one. I can point to the moment, and it was January of 2020, right 2019, 2020, right before COVID. I've lost track of time. Right before COVID, that January, about 50 of us got together at Nissan Stadium in a few suites. I think the Titans were out by then. So we got together in a few suites, and we did something that we call a disruption, and that is TBWA's proprietary software. I'll give the super fleeced version of it, but it's a great way to get a lot of people in a room, problem solve, anticipate, identify weaknesses, blind spots, have hard conversations, and really galvanize and come together. And we had 50 of the top folks at Nissan in the room, all different parts of the business: manufacturing, design, HR, the lawyers, marketing, manufacturing, you name it, they were all there, the most senior people. And I think what we all realized was that Nissan had somewhat lost its way along the way. And we were more focused on incentives and we were known for being on sale, and that wasn't really anything anyone wanted to be doubling down on. So we got in a room, and what was really apparent was a couple things. We saw this kind of convention that most brands were a little sheepish in talking about the passion and the thrill of driving, like putting the steering wheel between your two hands and letting it rip. And they were talking about everything but. They were talking about moonshots. They were talking about city solutions, e-bikes, you name it, just not the art of driving, the passion of driving. And that's what's at Nissan's DNA. And everyone in that room, we kind of relit a fire in here with everyone. And we kind of doubled down and came up with a galvanized North Star that we could all rally around, throw people at every turn. And what happened after that, I think, was a really smart, thoughtful, and I would say disciplined move by Nissan. Rather than jump from that disruption session and go out and tell the world about it, we actually took the time to take all the employees through what that disruption meant and the journey we kind of went on. And so if you were someone in HR, you would put your job through the filter of thrill. If you were a designer, you would do the same. If you were the person greeting people at the front door of headquarters, you would put your job through that filter of thrill. So it became a bit of an operating, internal, operating system. And then, once we did that, and that took a while to do that, again, the discipline to do that, then, only then did we go out and start telling the external world and, having it show up and manifest in communications.
Yeah, that's quite a process. Was it fairly bumpy, or was it smooth? You say it took a while. How long did it take, would you say?
These guys
What were the biggest challenges as you moved forward to getting it sort of to gel?
Yeah, I just think it was, I think everyone intrinsically knew it was a real thing. Like, everyone felt it internally. I think just probably the biggest challenge was just, taking the time and not racing to external communications. I think that's a lot of what people would probably knee-jerk to, but we did not.
Okay. And you mentioned COVID. What kind of roadblocks or opportunities and positives came out of it?
Yeah, I think it's probably less COVID and more just the lockdown. And there's probably a few things, Steve, that came from that. I'd probably start with, I think it leveled the playing field in many ways for the manufacturer. It allowed us to, leapfrog in many ways. We spent a lot of time on CX. We spent a lot of time on our dealership experience and putting customers first, and, connecting data and having better experiences, Nissan at home. Like, we spent a lot of time on that. I think the second part, and this probably would not have come had we not been super present, super dialed in, super focused, was that we, from a marketing standpoint, led by Allison, we re-examined our go-to-market plan. And we knew we needed to tell better stories. We knew there were bigger, more juicy stories to be told. I remember this one executive came in from Japan, and she told all these amazing stories, and there's a great history that Nissan has, and very humbly told it and very selflessly told it, and it hit something internally with a lot of us. And we knew we needed to invest in the brand. We needed to get more cachet with Nissan. Focus a little less on, not little less, but nameplates were important, but we needed to tell these stories that we haven't told in a long time. So we haven't done a brand campaign in 20 years, and we went on this 6-month march internally, getting everyone organized, selling it through the organization, getting Japan's support, and it was the tenacity and the always being present, because we were not flying all over the world and all over the country and racing from meeting to meeting. I think that was a really positive outcome. So we took our go-to-market plan and turned it on its ears. I think the third thing I would say that was a really great outcome, and it's a little bit of a carryover to this day, is we had a lot more voices in the room, the metaphorical room, because before, when the door would shut, and you'd be in a meeting room, it would actually exclude people, and it would be probably just the most senior people in the room. And we ended up finding ourselves in sessions with 50, 60, 70. I remember we had 120 one time on a Zoom talking about our go-to-market plan, and we heard lots of different voices. And in particular, we heard a lot of voices from younger people, and they had great things to say and different perspectives that a lot of us may not have thought of before. So just getting everyone together and just hearing all the voices was really powerful. And we're trying to, now as we're re-emerging, we're trying to still keep all those voices and enabling them to be heard. So I would say those are the three things, Steve.
Okay. And just one thing on the brand campaign idea. Did, as you were pitching the account, did they realize that they ought to be doing some new brand work, or was that something you had to sell through, and how did you do it?
No, that's the thing. I think I touched on it a little bit before. We are joined at the hip with the marketing team at Nissan, and we did this together. Everything we do is in concert together, and we push each other in different ways, but it was a joint effort. It wasn't just us pushing them or them pushing us. We did it together. We held hands. We like to say it. We held hands the whole way.
Okay. You mentioned disruption earlier. TBWA is secret sauce. Talk a little bit more about how else you use disruption at Nissan.
Yeah, so I'll do 2 more seconds to PSA on disruption. It's a great way to have these hard conversations, to identify weaknesses, to identify open spaces, to really challenge one another in a safe way. And the strategy and the planning community is probably rolling their eyes right now. Our folks, because I'm like fleecing it. It's like there's a lot of work that goes into it. There's a ton of workshops and like it's all about the prep work. But we have, since that disruption we did that helped galvanize and get the North Star, we've done I think probably 5 disruptions since then. Allison and I, we always like to say, when we're stuck, we disrupt. It's a little bit of a bumper sticker slogan, and we've done probably 3 on CX. We did one on the dealership experience, and we actually did one on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I have to say, those are probably the 2 most powerful and memorable days of my entire life, entire career. Just the honesty, the love, and the caring in the room, just to have those conversations. So, we'll do more. I know we will. They've embraced it. We do it for other clients too, but Nissan's been all in on it.
Terrific. Okay, so we're going to show one more spot. It's it was a spot that appeared as part of an NCAA sponsorship, just to give you an example of how the work has evolved.
Are we gonna do what they say can't be done? We've got it all way to go, and a short time to get there. I'm eastbound just one way to
Go Terps.
Well, that was a fun spot.
As Renee back there said, I don't know how we got the PA through legal, but that's okay.
So, yeah, perfect example of how, brand pops up and, sort of a less sales-driven idea. Let's talk a little bit about focus on the brand.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about the work in general, and the brand's a big part of that.
And also the dealer experience,
Yeah.
how they've reacted and.
Sure. Yeah, I think, overall in the work, I'll go back to retail. Like, we knew coming out of that disruption, we needed to do a number of different things. And the first place we started, I'm going to start at retail, actually. First place we started was focusing on our sales events. And it's a big part of what we do. It's a big part of what Auto does. And, I say this a lot, like, contributing to the brand and elevating the brand and lifting OAO and sales events, those aren't mutually exclusive things. Like, sales event work doesn't need to suck. Sales event work can actually contribute to the brand. And, when done best. And, we spent a lot of time elevating our sales event work. We put it through the thrill filter. I think our first campaign, we had Brie Larson in it. And we developed this repeatable pattern, and Allison talked about it earlier. We have one of the most successful, best performing retail sales event campaigns going right now. So we started there, first place to start. We work with our dealers. They were with us every step of the way. The best entrepreneurs putting their necks on the line every day. They were a big part of it. We ran toward them in terms of hearing their opinion, and they were a big part of that. The next place we went is a little bit of an unsung place. There's a lot of work we do, body of work that lives at the retail level that's very optional, that our dealers can run all over. So we elevated that. So if you can get the retail work contributing to your brand, I think you're more than halfway there. So that's where we spent a lot of our initial energies coming out of that disruption. The next thing we did, our nameplate work. We elevated that, put it through the thrill filter, and then we did the brand work, telling these higher purpose stories, of which you saw one earlier. We've done 4 or 5. We have a few more coming in the not too distant future. So if you step back from the work and you go from the top at brand all the way down through the retail work, there's actually a really clear through line for us. And yeah, we just needed to get it all organized and all working together and all, syncing up nicely.
Great. Put your thinking caps on out there. We're going to have some audience Q&A in just a sec, but I did want to ask Scott about the electric and EV sector and how you're approaching it for Nissan.
Yeah, I think EV, everyone's talking about it. Nissan, EV's been part of Nissan, long before the metaverse, long before the internet, long before, color TV. We got into EV in the late 40s, Tama, 2009 with Leaf. I think we have 8 billion miles on the road right now, EV miles on the road. I think that's the latest. Obviously Aria upstairs, I think you guys have seen it. That'll do a hell of a lot better job at describing it than I would, but it's just a magnificent, magnificent vehicle. And it represents the future, but it's here now. It's attainable. It's just a special vehicle. So we're working on that right now. We actually showed some work yesterday. So that's the future, and it's really exciting. So, yeah.
Anyone questions? Well, I actually do, which I actually wanted to ask earlier, but now I can ask you. I just noticed with the spots, you guys are definitely taking that fun, light, the people you're using, and how has that evolved, your strategy, in terms of, obviously during COVID, it became a different message, and now then the message started moving more forward, but even now, you're almost having fun with yourselves. Is that very purposeful because of how consumers are behaving right now?
Yeah, we try not to take ourselves too seriously in some of our communications. I mean, I think there's a spectrum that we go from, being a little bit more lighthearted, and the Heisman work, which we didn't show the Heisman work, which is I think some of the best work that we do. Like honestly, it's like part of the reason I took the job, because I just thought that work was so great, and it was the window into the brand for a lot of people. Me in particular, March Madness is both men and women. Is a big part of what we do. Those are like tentpole moments for us, and I would say those are on the far left of the spectrum in terms of being a little bit more lighthearted and fun. And there's a lot of Easter eggs in there if you're a sports junkie like myself. And we just had a lot of fun doing that. And then there's a little bit more serious work that's at the brand level. So we don't try not to take ourselves too seriously, but we try to connect more with the consumer than maybe in the past.
Well, I mean, also just to follow up, as far as you're talking about, I mean, obviously you still have the tempo moments in terms of being part of sports, being part of television, but what's your media mix and how has that evolved? Because also influencers are also being used and more social, and is that still supplemental for you, or is it almost becoming a part of the media mix right off the bat?
It's a core part of our DNA and what we do. I think we've made a lot of progress with influencers and social. We've really made it a concerted effort. It's actually one of our big bets over the last couple of years. I can't say we've always been perfect there, but we've really spent a lot of time hiring different kinds of people, bringing in different kinds of thinking, digital, social natives that maybe we didn't have before. And I think the work's really been a hell of a lot better, and it's part of what we do. So,
Anyone else have any questions? Oh, got one over here.
you had one before too.
She said 2 before. There you go.
Hi, Ashley Hamilton with Ad Media again. My question for you is, the disruption, as you call it, was obviously incredibly impactful. How, if at all, did it contribute to the way you're currently marketing EVs?
I mean, that's a great question. We haven't put out our ARIA work yet. You'll see it here soon. But by having a very clear North Star that is thrill people at every turn, I think it gave us a really good baseline for putting all our work through. And I don't think had we gone through that disruption, the work would have been as clear, as joined up, and we probably would have been in a little bit of a different place. So we do have this really great North Star that everything goes through. Everything we do goes through that. So from an EV standpoint, as ARIA starts rolling out here this summer, it'll be put through that filter. It's exciting to drive an EV. I mean, it really is.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Scott and Steve. That was awesome, really informative. So appreciate it. Everyone give them a big hand.